Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Anna Manuel. The bad news on the economy keeps on coming, with another report closely watched by the Federal Reserve showing the spike in inflation. Madeline Rivera breaks down the details from Washington.
More clouds on the horizon for the economy. A key report Friday showing prices for goods and services jumped 6.6% in March compared to a year ago.
We've been saying for months, the economy was growing too fast, it was too hot, that was generating inflation.
The higher costs of nearly everything from food to gas cutting into people's wages. Personal income did go up 0.5% in March, but it's still not enough to keep up with the pace of inflation.
When you have an 8.5% inflation rate, that means the rest of the economy has to grow by more than 8.5% just to stay even.
Still, spending hasn't slowed down, picking up 1.1% last month and keeping the economy chugging along. The data a bright spot after the entire economy shrank 1.4% in the first quarter of the year, raising fears of a recession.
No one is predicting a recession now. Some are predicting there may be a recession in 2023. I'm concerned about it.
The trickle of tough news painting a gloomy mood for the White House and Democrats ahead of the midterms.
I would hope one big takeaway from this is he moves the Build Back Better plan off the table. He moves the tax increases off the table.
Next week, the Federal Reserve will likely raise interest rates to try and tame inflation. That would mean mortgages on houses, car loans, and credit card debt would become more expensive too. In Washington, Madeline Rivera, Fox News.
The new Crystal Bucket is set to open next week, but kicked things off with a ribbon cutting yesterday. The new Kentucky Fried Chicken in Painted Post features a more modern look than many KFCs and links in with Corning's glass culture. You can round up some of the Colonel's famous chicken there starting on May 3rd. Elmira police are cautioning people to watch out for a fake jewelry scam. According to their social media accounts, a male of Indian descent is trying to sell fake jewelry like you can see in this picture. He's said to be driving a black Toyota Sienna. Hundreds gather to honor fallen New York City firefighter Timothy Klein. A massive crowd of firefighters, police, family, and friends coming together for Klein's funeral Friday in Queens. Klein was killed on the job fighting a fire inside a family home in Brooklyn. Flames reportedly engulfed the second floor of the home, causing part of the ceiling to collapse. One other person was killed in that fire. 8 other firefighters and a resident were also hurt. Ads for job listings in New York City will soon need to include pay information. New York City's council says ads for jobs must include salary ranges, particularly for women and people of color, to get a better shot at fair pay. The law was set to take effect on May 15th, but businesses complained, and the council has tweaked its legislation to exempt jobs carried out entirely elsewhere. The start date has now been pushed back to November 1st. Supporters say salary transparency is important, given the fact that the median pay for full-time female workers was about 83% of what men made in 2021. Critics say employers could decide to stop advertising jobs and rely instead on unsolicited resumes and other recruiting methods. Others fear a flood of resignations or demands for raises once current employees see what new hires can get. As Russia intensifies its attacks on Ukrainian cities and defensive lines, there are reports that a former U.S. Marine was killed in the fighting. Greg Pelcott has more from Lviv, Ukraine.
Another day of relentless Russian shelling and missile strikes hitting targets across Ukraine, including the capital Kyiv, where a major attack damaged a weapons facility and apartment buildings, just hours after President Zelensky met with UN Secretary General Guterres. Zelensky says the timing was not a coincidence.
This says a lot about Russia's true attitude towards global institutions, about attempts of Russian authorities to humiliate the UN and everything they represent.
Russian forces also pounding Ukrainian defensive lines in the east, part of an offensive to occupy the Donbass region and split the country in half. The Russians have taken some territory, but they're still looking for their first major breakthrough, with Ukrainian defenses holding on for now. On Friday, a former Marine was reportedly killed while fighting alongside the Ukrainians, marking the first combat death of an American citizen here.
It's brutality of the coldest and most depraved sort.
As the West rushes to get weapons to the front lines, President Biden is asking Congress for $20 billion for more military aid, including much-needed heavy artillery to stop the Russian advance.
They've made modest gains, but no serious penetration yet. And that is why these packages of artillery kills artillery.
The mayor of Mariupol says those weapons aren't enough. He's calling on NATO to start fighting alongside the Ukrainians. In Lviv, Ukraine, Greg Palkot, Fox News.
The Food and Drug Administration will hold meetings in June to discuss COVID-19 vaccines for children under the age of 5. The FDA's independent advisors will review and discuss data submitted by Pfizer and Moderna on COVID-19 vaccines for the youngest children, the only age group yet to be eligible for a COVID-19 shot. The move sets the stage for potential authorization that will follow if the vaccines are deemed safe and effective. The FDA has selected 3 possible dates for the meeting: June 8th, 21st, and 22nd. The agency says the dates are tentative and did not emphasize which vaccine will be discussed on which days. A well-known company is giving its employees the option to work from home forever. Airbnb told its 6,000 employees that they can work from home permanently and could move anywhere in the country without a reduction to their compensation. The previous plan was to have all the workers back in the office by September of this year. Some tech companies like Google and Microsoft have tried to create office environments that are more like vacation spots, offering games along with fried chicken and wine tastings. As for Airbnb, its remote work policy is the latest effort to encourage people to use Airbnb listings as pseudo offices. A remarkable discovery in Georgia. Researchers believe they found Revolutionary War-era cannons in the Savannah River. The cannons were found last year by dredging crews working on deepening the city's busy shipping channel. At first, archaeologists thought they were relics from a sunken Confederate gunship, but further study led experts to believe the cannons were likely almost a century older. They likely came off a British ship and sank during a siege in the Revolutionary War in 1779.
We were very surprised by the discovery. We were using a clamshell dredge in this reach of the Savannah River because it was near the location of the CSS Georgia, which was a Civil War ironclad that was scuttled to protect Savannah.
Researchers with the U.S. and British governments are now working to preserve the guns. They're being kept in water to prevent further deterioration until they can be fully cleaned. The plan is to one day display them for the public. Sam Ryan is in next with your weekend forecast. And later, some new science on your dog's personality.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Hi everyone, welcome. I'm meteorologist Sam Ryan. As we look back over the last 5 days, precipitation amounts here, we haven't had any. Just a trace Tuesday, Wednesday. That dry air is starting to contribute to that elevated fire risk out there for the day Friday. It may continue a little bit into Saturday, but the wind should back down a little bit more for the day Saturday, and the humidity slowly begin to creep up. Now, highs over the last 5 days also below average. We have seen improvement from Wednesday, 44, and then up to 51 here Thursday, 55. Friday, we're going to continue that warming trend for Saturday and Sunday. Sunday's looking fantastic. Overnight, though, still a chill to the air. Winds out of the west, falling down into the upper 20s. Oof. Chilly start to our last day of April, Saturday. We'll be in those upper 20s, close to 30 degrees, and then daytime highs, as we see, much improvement. Loads of sunshine to enjoy. You can get a sunburn here rather quickly if you happen to be outside. 28 degrees at 7 a.m., 58 at noon, and 64 at 5 p.m. Those winds will be generally out of the north at around 5 to 10 miles per hour. We see that rapid warm-up due to the very dry atmosphere. It doesn't have a whole lot to warm up that sunshine, so we'll hit those highs in the mid-60s rather quickly, right around 2-3 o'clock in the afternoon and stay there for a few hours. Again, real pleasant outside, a nice star-filled night, and then a beautiful sun-filled day. Pleasant weekend, some fire concerns here. Again, primarily Saturday. The humidity continues to rise as we go into Sunday. And Sunday will be the first day of May, and it's going to start things off unsettled by Sunday night. Big wave of low pressure off to our far west. We've got dry, high pressure overhead, nice and quiet. And this wave of low pressure then begins to weaken, but it will kick up some of those clouds throughout the day Sunday and eventually lead to some showers developing across the area Sunday night and into the day Monday. Might have a little bit of a wet start in parts. Doesn't look like anything real heavy, perhaps picking up just a few tenths of an inch of rainfall. Could even get some thunderstorms in here by Monday afternoon. A little bit better chance of that Tuesday and into Wednesday with a separate system behind that altogether. Highs Sunday, as I mentioned, a little bit warmer here, and we're going to have higher humidity, and we'll begin to see the clouds increase throughout the afternoon. Highs in the upper 60s, close to 70 degrees for Sunday afternoon. And then Sunday night is when we'll have that threat for some showers moving in, and again, maybe a few thunderstorms as well on Monday. Then that kicks out of here. We continue to warm up 73 Tuesday ahead of our next system that will bring a little bit better chance for some showers and thunderstorms to the area Tuesday night into Wednesday. And then there's a big question mark on this next system Thursday and into Friday next week.
A new study is giving dog lovers a chance to understand their furry friend's personality. Marianne Rafferty has more on why a new study says your dog's breed has very little to do with how they act.
Some dogs are chill.
Ruben is really calm.
Others are more rambunctious.
Hope is a rescue mutt. She's a lot of different dogs. Personality-wise, super independent.
But no matter what kind of pooch you have, a new study published Thursday in the journal Science is putting a popular misconception about canines to rest, stating a dog's personality is not necessarily defined by what type of breed it is.
At the end of the day, every dog really is an individual.
Researchers from the University of Massachusetts Chan Medical School had more than 18,000 owners complete personality surveys about their dogs. They then took DNA samples from more than 2,000 different pups to analyze their genetic makeup.
We couldn't find any evidence that ancestry from any particular breed actually has an influence on things like whether dogs are reacting aggressively to things in their environment. And what that suggests to us is that that kind of facet of behavior is very shaped by a dog's environment and by their life experiences, and very little by their genetics.
In total, 128 separate breeds were involved in the study, and officials say only 9% of, quote, personality differences between pups were related to their breed. Instead of determining personality traits, the study found a dog's breed was a better indicator about its overall appearance, with researchers saying roughly 80% of a dog's physical appearance is determined from its genetics.
The Federal Trade Commission says one type of mobile scam is on the rise, and it's costing Americans millions. The FTC is warning Americans using mobile media to be alert to smishing. It's a criminal mix of your SMS text and using phishing techniques to lure people into scams. The agency says smishing cost Americans $130 million in 2021 from scams. The FTC is warning people not to click on links from strange phone numbers. The FCC wants wireless providers to adopt a plan to block illegal text messages. The date is set for one of the biggest online shopping days of the year. Amazon announcing its annual Prime Day event will take place sometime in July this year. Prime Day had previously been in October for 2020 and June for 2021. The announcement did not mention any specific dates. Prime members will get savings from national brands and small businesses, but the price of that membership rose this year, up $20 from its old price. When it comes to the right amount of sleep, a new study has the lucky number for some groups of adults. Researchers at the University of Cambridge in England say 7 hours of sleep is just right for maintaining brain performance and mental health in people from 38 to 73 years old. The scientists reviewed data and interviewed and tested subjects. Both insufficient and excessive sleep impaired performance, processing speed, visual attention, memory, and problem solving. Too little sleep also built up brain-blocking proteins, which affects dementia onset. The number of teens dying from drug overdoses has increased drastically over the past 2 years, and more than half are tied to one dangerous drug. Joy Addison joins us with more.
Researchers say there are several reasons for this unfortunate increase. It includes the solitude and isolation of the pandemic and drugs being laced with fentanyl, which makes them stronger, cheaper, and more deadly.
Beautiful, vibrant, passionate, incredible. On July 24th, 2020, my daughter Lydia, who's 23, was found deceased in her room.
Lydia's cause of death was an accidental overdose. Renee Crest says her daughter struggled with addiction, but had been sober and in recovery for over a year.
We were in the pandemic, and isolation, I think, had a big factor.
According to a study published by the Journal of the American Medical Association, deadly overdoses among adolescents nearly doubled from 492 in 2019 to 954 in 2020. There was an additional rise of 20% in 2021.
The more we isolated our kids, the more they had, just a two-dimensional world rather than actually being out with all the social emotional learning that they need to do. I think that the mental health crisis became so acute. Anxiety, depression.
George Youngblood works with Teen and Family Services in Houston. He says kids in their outreach program alone have doubled.
In the fall semester, just in one of our school districts, we saw almost 600 kids in crisis, which was an increase from pre-pandemic numbers in that school district of about 350.
The National Institute on Drug Abuse says a lot of the drugs are a lot more deadly.
There has been a huge rise in illicitly manufactured prescription pills that contain fentanyl, at least 30% of which can have doses that can kill someone.
So what are we doing now? What are we doing now?
Last year, the El Paso sector of Customs and Border Protection seized 6 times the amount of fentanyl seized in 2018. Last week, President Biden released the first ever national drug control strategy. It addresses untreated drug addiction and drug trafficking.
A California family woke up one morning to find not only had their house been burglarized, but the culprit walked through their home with ease, even stopping to watch them sleep. Haley Winslow has more on the family, who admits they're going to have a hard time getting another good night's rest.
Very scared. It's very unnerving to find out that somebody had been in your room watching you sleep.
It's dark, but this is video surveillance of the burglar watching Kevin and Rachel Sandoval sleep. The bad guy had entered the San Bernardino family's apartment through their son's window. It's cracked to cool medical equipment that helps the micro-preemie breathe.
I never thought that something like this could happen to my family.
On camera, with the couple sleeping right behind him, he fishes through their dresser, steals her wedding ring and other expensive jewelry, and $4,000 cash for her landlord the following day. On more surveillance in the living room, the brazen thief walks past the toddler on a ventilator, sleeping right next to his night nurse, and no one heard a peep. On a third camera, he unlocks the front door and lets himself out, then comes back 20 seconds later, but this time the nurse wakes up.
Okay, thanks. You hear her kind of get up closer to the door and she's like, what? Like confused, and he tells her, I guess, it's not safe, you should lock your doors.
The nurse tells the Sandovals in the morning and they check the cameras.
I feel like I get the creepy crawls, yes. Like, yeah, it's, to see my wife, the look on her face when I told her that guy was in our room, the look on her face and when she sat up in bed all quick with like goosebumps from hell, yeah, she was scared.
You know, we got baby gates and baby locks on like all doors, all handles. Everybody that comes to our house is like, how do I open the door? How do I get out of this gate? Like, how do you open this? You know, and he was just smooth way going through. Like it makes me feel like he's done this multiple times. Like he's not an amateur, you know?
They've now beefed up security even more with window and door alarms and a dog. But it's going to take a while to sleep soundly again. It's
scary. You know, like I said, you wouldn't think anything like this would happen to you, but when it does, it makes it very hard to sleep at night.
We want to leave you with a smile, and check it out. A small pig got on the loose, wandering onto a busy road. The pig was apparently content to stand in lanes of the road in Portland, Oregon. Police arrived to make a human perimeter while trying to lure the animal with snacks. Nacho cheese Doritos did not work, but goldfish crackers and cookies satisfied the pig's snout and tastes until they corralled it into a crate. As of earlier this week, police were still trying to find the pig's owner. From our whole team, thank you for joining us. We hope you have a great rest of your day.